sometimes the things I talk about seem so obvious, like they probably don't want a video on this, but then I forget that it wasn't obvious to me and I had to learn it, and I still teach classes, and adults also don't know these things that I'm about to say. So what I'm about to say to many of you may be obvious, but maybe not. The thing I want to talk about today is how we get stimulated, how we are aroused. And many of us may realize, but men are visually stimulated. Women are not. So when we talk about preparing ourselves for that intimate act, men only need to look at you or look at someone beautiful, and they can be ready for the act in milliseconds, literally seconds. Now, I used to joke in the class, well, I still joke in all the classes that I teach, that, you can be fighting with your spouse and be so angry, and all you have to do is take off your shirt. And he's like, well, I'm ready. I'm good. So it's not a joke, and yet it is, because again, every time I say stuff, it may sound like it's just science-y, but this, we have to remember, is how God made us. So God made men aroused visually, and the woman's body is so beautiful, and so a man is to desire his wife, but in a beautiful, loving way, not in a lustful way. Is there a confusion between the two? Sometimes, but not for the point of this conversation here. So what's funny is I taught this to a group of military men, and at this particular class, the guys were in their 20s-ish, 30s, and I was talking about this, and the guy's like, yeah, well, you mean if I, because all buff, working out and things, if I take off my clothes, she's going to be all ready. I'm like, no, she ain't. And actually, we women have a joke sometimes, like, you go there and stand in front of me naked and be like, how are you going to do with that? Come on. So it's a joke, guys. Leave me alone. But the truth is he argued, he thought our minds were the same, and they weren't. Because I said, men are visually stimulated, but women are emotionally stimulated. That's why pornography, though sadly growing among women as well, is hugely a male issue, because men see these images of beautiful bodies. They see these images of people doing things, and they are ready to perform the marital act. Again, it's called the marital act because it should remain only in marriage. So a woman is supposed to arouse her husband, but a man is supposed to arouse his wife. So one of the phrases that I would use in my classes would say, you cannot make love to my body until after you've made love to my mind. Well, what does that mean? Because I don't get aroused, I as a female, by looking at a naked man, by looking at my husband naked, by looking at anything with my eyes isn't what's going to arouse me. What is going to arouse your wife, what is going to arouse females, and again, we have to keep this in proper order and talk about keeping it from being disordered, but what is going to arouse a female is what you say, what she hears. It's that emotional connection. That's why, ladies, it is so much easier for us to be sweet-talked than it is for a man, because we will often fall for lies. We will often fall for a man's sweet words. He may or may not mean them, but there are many men out there who just want to use you. And they will say whatever they need to say, whatever they think needs to be said to soften your heart and get an opportunity to be with you physically. So if we take this, well, we can look at this sadly. Again, I talk about my students and the young girls that I talked with in my colleges. And men would say what they needed to say, and then after they did what they did, these women would feel used. They would feel, now what? And even though the ones that weren't necessarily in hookups but were in relationships, it was, if you really love me, these are the things. Okay, I'm going way off on topic here. I don't want to get off topic. But to understand, if we take this back into marriage where it's supposed to be, if you want husbands to arouse your wives, you must get here. You must say and do the things that will get to her heart. So when I taught my premarital class, I remember talking about, okay, class, how long does it take to arouse a man? And he's like, average 2 minutes. He's like, guys are like, oh no, way faster than that. Because technically, you ready for this? 2 minutes is all it takes for many of them to complete the act. I was like, okay, corrected, right? But it's literally seconds. But I'd say, how long then does it take for a female to be aroused? And these guys were, engaged, and they're like, one guy goes, forever. It was funny. Now, of course, it was a Catholic premarital class, so they shouldn't have been having sex. But go with me. This is the humor, right? So I asked them, what is the time frame? And they said, I don't know. And I'm like, it is a minimum of 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a pretty popular time frame if you're thinking how God wired us. 20 minutes for a female to kind of get aroused, 20 minutes for a female to reach that climax, 20 minutes for your cortisol to drop when you're angry. So when we're talking emotionality, 20 minutes is a pretty important time frame. Now, 20 minutes does not mean foreplay. For a woman, and this is specifically for you guys, when I'm talking about making love to her mind, it doesn't mean talking sex talk. It doesn't mean, hey, baby, you want to... That's not what turns a woman on. What turns her on is believing that you have her whole person, her being, protected, loved by you, cared about. And so there are many, many books that talk about this. I remember one specifically, just the title itself says that making love begins in the kitchen, or sex begins in the kitchen. That's what it is. And so what they mean is, if she's in, and the thesis of that book was, if she's doing the dishes, do the dishes for her. If she's busy putting the kids down, maybe ask to bathe the kids. There's things that you do that show that you love me. I love you, and I want to please you, and I want to say nice things. So this idea that you can have a fight and then 20 minutes later you're ready and she's not, and then you get all upset. It's like, well, guys, God didn't make us the same. And ladies as well. This is very, very important to understand how men will use sex to show you that they love you, right? I've said that in previous videos. Thus, if he's ready to have sex, it's his way of saying, I still love you, even if we had a fight, even whatever. But for women, it's just that way our corpus callosums and our hemispheres keep going. So during a fight, we certainly can't get into the physical act. But again, I want to keep on this point of men are visually aroused and women are emotionally aroused. So if you want your wife to want you, if you want your wife to desire you, you've got to get in her mind. And I want you to think about what you used to do when you were dating, because many of you, when you were dating, you did everything you could to win her heart. You bought her flowers, or you just listened when you didn't feel like listening. You talked when you didn't feel like talking. You let her talk about things that would normally not interest you, but you did it out of love. You went shopping with her because she wanted to go shopping. That's making love to your wife's mind. That is saying, I love you and I want to do the things that please you. And that will sexually arouse your wife to go, oh my gosh, he loves me. Oh, he did the dishes. Oh my gosh, he went shopping with me. Oh, he did this, he did this. Oh my God, he loves me, loves me, loves me. She's so aroused, then she wants to jump your bones. Everything I do in these short videos, I get the comments, I get it. I can't tell you everything I know in a 10-minute video. But what I'm trying to do is start this conversation, to start you thinking. Because again, I know some of you watching this are like, oh yeah, right, women are visually. No, we're not. So I want you to know how to do what Jesus commanded you to do. Men, love your wives as Jesus loved the church. Well, how does Jesus love the church? He pampers us, he cares for us, he speaks lovingly to us, he forgives us, he chastises us lovingly, but he's always merciful and just balanced. He's not nasty or short-tempered with us. And so if you can kind of think of that, what are the sweet things my wife needs to hear? What are the kindnesses that she needs to experience from me? What are the gentle things I can do? Again, I don't even mind. Most women don't mind that in the back of your mind you're thinking of having sex. And I do say this to you women to caution you. Don't get mad at him if he's doing and thinking and saying all these nice things to you, thinking, oh, you just want to have sex. Well, I'm going to answer for them. Yes, they do. Men are much more easily pleased than we are. They desire sex, as I've said a million times on these videos, 6 times more frequently than we do. It's not their fault. Don't treat them like they're pigs for desiring to make love to you. But know that if that's their end goal, I get to make love to my wife, she's beautiful, this is a great thing, well then don't begrudge him when he's doing kind things to earn your arousal. There's a balance. Guys, I know sometimes I've heard so many women say, oh, he comes up to me, starts massaging me or does my feet, and he only does that when he wants sex. You can't just be the I'll only do nice things when I want sex kind of guy. If you want to have sex on Wednesday, start making love to your wife's mind on Tuesday. If you want to make love to your wife at night, start make loving words and comments and actions Monday that morning. It's a great system. Again, everything I think that God did, he did so that when the two become one, we have to learn to sacrifice parts of ourselves. Men, you have to sacrifice by loving your wife and doing things just to sometimes wait to have the sex that you could have every day. And women, it's surrendering your body when you could wait weeks or months without having sex. But we are all, how do I love? How do I respect? How do I appreciate my spouse? And I'll do a future video on that as well. But for now, just know that we are made different by God. We are aroused differently, but once we're both aroused, we're both fully wanting to be in the act. So I like God's way. What do you think? I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. This is another episode of Breakfast with Bacon, a little informational bacon bit. And I want to remind you always to live your life sunny side up.